And that's another thing with Beat the Streets. That's like a big thing that we do that helps out in New York City is that where I live at, as far as the junior league level, middle school and stuff like that, there's no wrestling at all. Like in my neighborhood, I'm pretty much the only wrestler you're gonna see walking around.
Julius, thanks for doing this, my friend. How are you?
No problem. I'm good. How are you?
Outstanding. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners here. Who we hearing from and where you located?
All right, so I'm Julius Whetstone. I'm currently wrestling at Niagara County Community College. I'm a New York City wrestling alumni, and I was also part of Beat the Streets.
How did you first get started in the sport, my friend?
Starting the sport. Well, actually, I was a big WWE fan growing up, and still am now. So I already knew who Kurt Angle was. I already knew who Brock Lesnar was. So I kind of figured out what they did before that and how they got famous and everything else. So I decided, hey, why not?
And then how long after that until Beat the Streets was introduced to you?
So that was my sophomore year of high school that I joined up with Beat the Streets. Although I started wrestling my freshman year, but some of the alumni kept telling me, "Hey, if you want to get like good like us, you want to get better and stuff like that, go to Beat the Streets. They got real good coaches and guys over there."
So was it part of your high school or was it a separate school you had to go to see the Beat the Streets coaches?
So yeah, so like we used to have one training center. Then around my junior year, they actually split up into all 5 boroughs.
Got it. Okay. And so talk to us about life before wrestling for you. What was your life like before you got introduced to the sport?
Before wrestling,
I
I'd
mean,
say
what's your family like?
family like it's pretty good. Live with my mom, my dad, and my brother for a while before he grew up and all that because he's a lot older than me. I'm actually the
Yep.
youngest. But so I grew up in the Bronx. I still live there, and I don't necessarily live in the nicest neighborhood. So yeah, I've had to go through stuff, going to school, coming from school, and things like that. So my dad actually had me take up some martial arts and stuff. So I actually got really good with that. So that's actually what I was doing before wrestling. But I always, figured out that I wanted to wrestle once I got in high school. I was actually a big UFC fan as well, still am. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing those guys fight and things like that, and guys like Chael Sonnen and stuff, and Dan Henderson, guys like that doing what they're doing. So I thought, hey, this is something I definitely want to get into.
So it was a lot of at the beginning just self defense and getting a sense of confidence.
Definitely, definitely.
So what was the environment like walking to and from school? I mean, was it fights every day or?
Not fights every day, but there's times like in school, two kids just start bickering, and then it's like see me after school, and then that's when that would happen with a lot of guys.
Okay. And so you get involved with the sport, and you had shared with me in some conversations before this that your journey through wrestling wasn't always the smoothest, due in part to some racial issues. And I know you wanted to talk about that. How did that manifest for you?
Well, that was actually more recent. That wasn't
Okay.
necessarily like throughout the whole entire time. So like through my time coming back as an alumni and helping out, I'm getting because I'm older, getting to travel even more. So I traveled a lot then. So now I'm really getting to travel like everywhere. It's like every part of every borough. And I kind of realized that not everybody in every borough, and everywhere in New York City is kind of the same. I thought that originally, but people kind of act differently in certain environments and things like that. And I'm also been dealing with that at Niagara as well. People just, because on my team, for example, I'm the only one from New York City. Everybody else is from like West New York, that area, like Buffalo and places like that. So it's kind of like a lot of racial inactivity and things like that. A lot of people saying things they really shouldn't be saying, not understanding why, and things like that.
And so that happened. So you've been a coach for Beat the Streets, and I guess I didn't realize that. So you had come back and started like volunteering and mentoring in the summer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there was one thing they hired us for. They interviewed a bunch of us college guys and some current high school wrestlers, and we helped run a middle school camp. But the thing that was really cool about that is they stepped to the side and let us come up with everything. They trained us. They taught us how to come up with practice and such, but they let us run the whole entire show. It was great.
Wow. So how long
Yeah,
was that?
that was July 4th weekend. That was July 2nd and 3rd of 2019.
Okay. And are you doing those in different boroughs throughout the city?
So, well, for that one, we were happened to be in Manhattan, but usually I myself would just go to like all 5 boroughs and see where I could help out at.
Okay. Man, that's cool that there's I mean, New York City is to me the home base for Beat the Streets. Even if it wasn't started there, it just seems like it has the biggest following. Chicago's
Yeah.
coming along now, but did you, or how often, I guess, do you interact with Brendan Buckley when you're in the program? Do you see him
Oh,
often?
well, not often because he's like the head honcho, so like he's usually in his office. But there's times when he would come and run clinics with the camps and things like that. There's times when he would help run practice and such. And I would see him when we'd have like social events to catch up with the alumni. I'd talk to him. I talked to him recently. He's actually helping me out with the recommendation letters because after I graduate Niagara, I'm going to transfer out to a 4 year. So we got to talk a lot about that as well. But I guess we got to see him a decent amount. But usually he's in his office running everything. So
Head honcho, indeed.
yeah.
So let's go back to your journey a little bit. So you hear about Beat the Streets. What was your first practice, your first workout like?
First one, wow. I guess I don't really remember exactly like how it went, but I just knew that the environment was different. The facility we were in was big. It was really, really big. It's actually a basketball gym. It wasn't necessarily a wrestling space, but we rolled out the mats and everything. And then we were like drilling and things like that. And I don't know if you know Coach MA, Mark Anthony Macias. I don't know if you heard him. So he used to be the head Beat the Streets coach at the time. So like during the beginning of practice, everything just got fast right away. Like we didn't really, it wasn't like we're easing in. No one's really like talking or anything. He didn't want anyone talking. And then it just got real intense pretty much right out of the gate. And we were just drilling hard and we were sweating and everything else. And I still like, at that point, I had started getting a little bit better, but I was still kind of raw. I was still pretty green. So I was doing a lot of stuff when we were drilling and things like that, but I didn't know exactly what I was doing. So I was kind of like learning by osmosis by everybody around me and stuff.
And so was there not wrestling in the middle school or the high school or the junior high that you went to?
So yeah, and that's another thing with Beat the Streets. That's like a big thing that we do that helps out in New York City is that where I live at, as far as the junior league level, middle school and stuff like that, there's no wrestling at all. Like in my neighborhood, I'm pretty much the only wrestler you're gonna see walking around. But then there's like other places I'm seeing even now. There's like other middle schools and things like that. They're starting to get wrestling programs. But at the time when I was in middle school, like I graduated middle school in 2013, there definitely wasn't a lot of middle school programs with wrestling.
Man, that's crazy because I grew up in Western Illinois, but there the junior high season is kind of like the high school season where you duel other junior highs and middle schools in your area, and you have practice every day. And but I do understand that in Chicago, for example, a lot of schools don't have that, and it's more of like a club thing, or it's Beat the Streets Chicago, obviously. And so you started with Beat the Streets that summer, and then how does it work when you're in high school? Are you going to Beat the Streets during the week a couple times, or is it mainly in the off season?
Oh, so what happened is I actually started during the off season my sophomore year of high school. So I was just doing freestyle and Greco, but I wasn't able to go every single day because my parents were pretty strict about that. They didn't want me traveling and come back home late and things like that. I disagreed with it then. I still disagree with it now. I think I could have gotten a lot better if I was there every single day. But Saturdays they would also have practice. So in the morning, that's when the regular practice would be. That'd be like the regular, well, in the afternoon mainly. It would be like in the high school practice. But then like a few weeks in, they started doing something called the City Strong practice. And basically what it was, they get all the like real high level guys in there. And that'd be a really, really, really hard practice. They would try to make it as close to like what Long Island gets or what upstate gets as much as possible, as close as they could get it to. Because that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to catch up with the rest of the state. And then we're trying to like, be at the level everybody else is at. We don't want anybody looking down on us anymore. So that's what those practices were like. So apparently like they're supposed to send an email to you and then you get invited and stuff. I just showed up. And the thing is, like, I wasn't allowed to do that. You're not really allowed to just show up. But the head coach at the time, he saw how hard I was working, and just that. He just saw how hard I was working, and he knew that I wanted to be there. He knew I wanted to get better, so he just let me in. And from then, I just would practice twice a day, every Saturday. That's the only time I could go.
And so it's like a practice where the best kids within the 5 boroughs all come together?
Definitely, yeah. But check this out. They would only show up for those practices. I'm at one practice and I'm staying there. So I'm there for 4 hours straight.
Right. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So when you say you didn't want anyone looking down on us, is it that the people who are outside the city, like New York City wrestling's just never been that strong, and so you guys are trying to build it up.
Yes, definitely. Like we've had state finalists, we've had a couple of state champs and things like that, but they keep looking down. Even now, like I remember, if you count the Catholic school guys, we had 11 guys placed at the public state tournament last season. Well, in 2020, before
Wow.
everything went crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11 guys. So to me, like that seems pretty good. I don't remember us doing that well before.
Right.
But then even still, like some of my teammates were saying, oh, the only reason you had 11 guys place is because they added 2 extra placements on the podium. Okay, but we still place that. Like, come
Dude,
on.
What the heck? Yeah. But I mean, I bet before that it was maybe one a year, not even that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
And
how
that
many
one
different
might be the state champ.
right? How many different high schools are in the public league of wrestling in New York City? Like hundreds or like 20?
Ooh, there's a lot. And the thing is that a lot of the high schools, like a lot of the buildings, they would have multiple high schools in them. So they'd be called like campuses. So that's the one I went to. So my high school was called the Maxine Green High School for Imagination Inquiry, but that was just my school. We actually had 6 other schools inside the campus, but the team was called the MLK Knights. So it was MLK campus.
What? So there's different high schools within different buildings, within the same building?
Yeah. So mine had 7.
Oh my God, that's crazy. I can't even fathom that.
Yeah. So there's like, I can't even give you a number of how many high schools are in.
So what
New
are the
York City.
wrestling rooms like? Are they just regular, like just like any other place, or is it really kind of tight and narrow quarters?
So actually, 95% of the high schools that have wrestling in New York City don't have their own room. So they'd have to get the match from somewhere else. Same thing as mine.
And roll them out?
Somewhere. Yeah.
Oh no.
So
hey, it's better than nothing though.
It's better than nothing, but every day for 4 years, I had to go into like a back room because we had a dance room. There was like some little back room where the mats were. So every day for 4 years, we'd roll out those mats inside the dance room. And sometimes the dance crew, they'd be in there a little bit longer, or the music crew, whoever's in there, and we'd have to like try to kick them out. Yeah.
Man, that's part of the struggle though.
Yeah.
Wow. So once you got to your senior year in high school, when did you make the decision that you wanted to wrestle in college?
I made that decision freshman year. I saw the 2015 NCAAs. It was in Madison Square Garden. I didn't know anybody yet. I wasn't really into the sport yet, so I didn't know who Sean Garrett and guys like that were yet. But I saw that, and that's when it clicked. I wanted to do that.
What kind of impact did watching Desean wrestle have?
Well, like I said, I didn't really know who everybody was at that moment. So I just saw it there. I just saw like the pop and circumstance and everybody wrestling at such a high level. It was just like, I wanted to be at that level.
Yeah, it's cool to think that hosting a national somewhere, any given city, how many kids does it impact? Just that one weekend alone, who you would just never know the impact like that. And so that memory stuck with you. And then you're in junior college now wrestling. Where do you have aspirations to wrestle at the next level? Do you have anyone in mind?
Yeah, I've got like a list of a lot of colleges, but I have been talking with a bunch of coaches. And I'm actually working with one of my former coaches from Beat the Streets. He actually went to Niagara himself. That's part of why I'm up here. So he created a spreadsheet for me, and I put down the list of all the colleges I wanted. And he told me, like, he put different categories of different things I should consider: the cost, how the environment is, where it is, talk to the coaches. So that's what I've been doing. And one thing my high school coach told me, he gave me this advice a while ago, is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Because, my high school career, same as yours, it didn't end up the way I wanted it to. So I want to vindicate all that. But he's saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't try to focus on just going D1. You can go D2, you can go D3. And then one thing that Beat the Streets people reminded me of is like, hey, go watch the Greco World Team Trials. Go watch the Freestyle World Team Trials. They're not all D1 guys. There's some D3 guys. There's some D2 guys making world teams. You interviewed Gonzalez. He was an Olympian. He was a D2 wrestler. And he didn't even start wrestling until 9th grade. So stuff like that.
Right. Come on now, babe. You're getting me fired up. So what are some of the schools? Let's put a little call out to them right now. Who are they? Let's put them on notice.
University of Southern Maine.
Southern Maine. Okay.
SUNY Oneonta.
Okay. Is that the head coach there? Or is that a different school?
Different school.
What's SUNY? SUNY's the school, or is that
State University of New York?
Yeah, I'm not hip.
Sorry. I didn't know you.
I didn't know it like that. Okay.
Yeah. So if I say SUNY, that means State University of New York. That's what that is basically. So that's all the public universities. Ohio University.
Okay.
I'm looking at Drexel. Alvernia University, Sedentary University.
What about
and
Ithaca
a bunch.
College? Is that on the list?
That's not on the list, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just know they're up next to Cornell, so it's probably pretty
They
far
are.
away, though.
No, it's actually closer to the city, actually.
Really?
Yeah, Section 4 is not that far at all.
I thought it was way up there.
Nah, where I'm at now is way up there. I'm near Canada.
No kidding. I
Yeah.
spent some time this summer in Vermont and was driving through, I think it's the Adirondacks. That shit that's thick up there. I mean, that is no man's land.
Yeah.
And so you'd be transferring out at the end of this school year then?
Yeah, so May.
Got it. Okay. Well, man, that's exciting just to know someone firsthand who's been through the Beat the Streets program. And if you were looking back now and telling someone who's not wrestling, why would they get into it? What would you say? Like, what have the benefits been to you?
You're definitely gonna you can really create like the best version of yourself. You could find out like what's that one quality that you possess that's gonna get you somewhere. And like it's not gonna be the same as mine. It might be something different, but it's gonna be something that you can really like figure that out.
Man, I would love to see you go into coaching when you're done. I think you'd do well at it.
Definitely. I've actually coached a bit here and there. I never got like hired or anything, but like sometimes when I'd be at youth tournaments and some middle schoolers might know me, they might be like, "Hey, Julius, come coach me." So like that's literally happened before, and it went pretty well. So and it's honestly fun to do that.
Absolutely, and it's crazy the amount that you learn just by coaching.
Definitely.
Well, man, and I know you've listened to the show. What are some of the episodes that have had a big impact on you that other wrestlers could maybe tune into?
David Taylor.
Love it. Magic Man.
I think we talked about that when he's sitting there eating Captain Crunch. You're a 2-time D1 national champ. You're a world champ. All you ate was Captain Crunch. Because my high school coach, he would always make fun of me. Like, "Oh, you're always eating donuts every morning. Why are you eating donuts all the time?" Well, I mean, I like to eat donuts. Right. And he's telling me, "Oh, you've gone to the Beat the Streets nutrition classes. Why are you still eating like that?" Right. But now I know what David Taylor ate, Captain Crunch. I'm thinking David Taylor ate completely healthy and stuff like that. I'm thinking, because he's thinking
salmon slabs, couple steaks.
Yeah, some fruits and vegetables all the time, but no. Wow.
Wasn't that shocking?
You know what? It was kind of shocking because of who he is, but then again, being in college now, I get it because, it's tight sometimes. You got to
trying to survive out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, that is what's the Beat the Streets nutrition class?
So they've had different life skills classes, so that's what they would call them. And
Nice.
we go to a bunch of them, and one of them was nutrition class, and they told us do this, that, and the third. Yeah, we're not doing all that because you need money to do that. So I don't know why they're telling us this.
That the eating clean is the most expensive way to go, like by far.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it definitely is.
Wow, man. Well, Julius, I'm really glad you could come on the show. What any last words, my friend, or any last things you wanted to share before we hop off here? I know we've been wanting to get this one on the books for a while, and I really appreciate your patience.
Last thing, I guess, how has wrestling changed my life at all, right? I could say that it's given me everything I've wanted. I've made a ton of friends. I have a ton of mentors I can go to whenever I want. I'm in college. I'm doing real well. So I can say that's put me on a real good path. And all I have to do is just keep working hard, and then things will keep improving and improving. Things will get better and better.
I love your outlook, man. If you ever need any help, consider me as a mentor and a friend. I'm happy to put the word out, do whatever I can.
Definitely.
Julius, I appreciate you, man. Have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too, Ryan.
All right. Take care.
Take care.